We're devastated. We're a very close family. We're a very, very close family. And my mother was the glue that held us all together.
I can't comprehend what was going through this man's mind at this time. It just hurts why somebody would do that.
He was retired, but he took on a job working security, and he took on a responsibility to protect the customers and the employees in the store, and he did exactly what he signed up for.
It's heart-wrenching. It's heart-wrenching. Sorry. It's broken.
It's hard for me to believe, you know, all that happened to my sister. Because I know she didn't deserve this.
My sister survived breast cancer and 3 aneurysm surgeries to go to the grocery store to get killed.
She was a very caring person. She was a very loving person. And like I said, she would do anything for anybody on the street too.
The shooting exposed the growing threat of domestic terrorism in the U.S. and the increasing number of hate crimes. fueled by right-wing conspiracy theories about racial replacement, amplified and mainstreamed by cable news, social media, and politicians.
And I condemn those who spread the lie for power, political gain, and for profit.
Biden stopped short of making specific promises. He called on Congress to act on gun control and online radicalization.
Part of what the country has to do is look in the mirror and face the reality. We have a problem with domestic terror. It's real.
As the president and his motorcade passed through this shattered community, residents wondered what good words are if they don't bring action to stop the viral spread of hate.
And we being hunted down like animals in the streets.
Don't just promise us things. You promised us things before and you never made it happen.
Few believe this will be the last attack at the hands of a white supremacist. They can only hope their warnings about the price of inaction are heard.
Listening to Reset Race, you now tuned in to Reset Race. You're listening to Reset Race, you're now tuned in to Reset Race. What? Put them back on the grill again. We grilling them, put them back on the grill again. We grilling them, put them back on the grill again. We grilling them, back on the grill again. We grilling them, You're listening to Reset Race. ADOS need reparations to make America great. You're tuned in to Reset Race. We no longer starving while others eat off our plate. No. You're listening to Reset Race. We focused on our justice claim. We know what is at stake. You're tuned in to Reset Race. You'll find out who really about justice and really who fake. Lineage go back to US Southern plantations. Penniers, Jim Crow, and mass incarceration. Redlining lynchings. We are old from this nation. You're not about justice if you ain't for reparations. MG the wise one. Cousin mother intellectual. Samantha bringing fire. Anti-black, we pressing you. No permanent friends and no permanent enemies. The backbone of the country. The way you need our energy. You gon' see. Listening to Reset Race. You now tuned in to Reset Race. You're listening to Reset Race. You're now tuned in to Reset Race. Put them back on the grill again. We grilling them. Put them back on the grill again. We grilling them. Put them back on the grill again. We grilling them. Back on the grill again. We grilling them. You're listening to Reset Race. ADOS need reparations to make America great. You're tuned in to Reset Race. We no longer starving while others eat off our plate. No. You're listening to Reset Race. We focused on our justice claim. We know what is at stake. You're tuned in to Reset Race. You'll find out who really about justice and really who fake.
Welcome to Reset Race. Oh my goodness, tonight is going to be a lot for all of us because I guess this is going to be our official Buffalo, New York shooting episode. So yeah, there's going to be a lot to talk about. So I just want to start off by saying that all of our hearts go out to the family members of the people who, whose lives were taken for no reason, but because some crazy person decided that, we who built this country should not be allowed to exist in it. Just more of the same thing that's been happening to our ancestors and our family members over and over and over again. So we want to start off by just, sending our love to those people because, if you've ever lost anybody, I can't even imagine what it would be like to lose somebody that way. It's hard enough to lose somebody unexpectedly, but then to have it be like a racist, senseless tragedy as well. So we want to make sure that we're thinking about those families. And we also tonight are going to acknowledge all of you guys and each other, right? Because something like this can't happen to our community without all of us feeling pain. No matter how it resonates, no matter how you see it, some of you guys may be feeling fear, but all of us are feeling pain because, just to think like you could just be at the grocery store minding your business and somebody just shoot you because you're a Black person, like you're a Black American. That's wild. It's very wild. So I'm Sam, AKA The Khaleesi, and we're just going to go through and do quick introductions. You can find me on Twitter at me17trillion. You can email anybody, any one of us you can reach on the info@resetrace.org email address. Just, say who you want the message to be sent to, and I'll make sure it goes to who it needs to be sent to on the team. Because we're not giving out our personal email addresses because y'all might want to send hate mail and we don't care enough. So, all right, next up is going to be Morgan, because it is ladies first and I am still the Khaleesi queen breathing fire, but I brought another dragon queen. I don't know about this. And Morgan is an official member of the Reset Race family now. So y'all get used to Morgan. And if y'all know her from social media, don't send me no messages because I don't give a shit.
What's up, y'all? Yeah, my name is Morgan Malachi. You can at me at Cali Tasked Us. That's TASKED on Twitter. Yeah, I'm here for it, y'all. And yeah, it's like I'm like the last dragon. The one that was there for Khaleesi. The one that stood by her that whole time.
Yes. I need it too. I need it. Ooh. Sorry. All right, next up, we're gonna go ahead, John.
Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is John C. I'm an average American Negro, and I am here with my family as always. I'm always happy to be here. We appreciate you guys for listening to us. This Buffalo shooting is some real shit. We got Morgan, we got Sammy Khaleesi, we got Cousin Mud, and we got Joey Killmonger. So, like what we're always going to do is kind of break through the shit that's going on and kind of break it down, in a real way, like as we always do. So again, I'm always happy to be here, and let's get into the show.
All hail King Killmonger. It is I, Eastside Joey on Twitter. Please don't come at me like playing about the Buffalo thing. Like, that's just not something to play about. I normally do the debate stuff, but the Buffalo thing is very, very personal, and I'm gonna take it personally. And by that, I mean, I'm gonna block you. Like, you're not gonna get the attention you're looking for. With that being said, engagement gang, we looking for y'all in the comments. Beyond that, we gonna break this thing down, and we're gonna try to process.
Yeah, they call me Mud. You can find me on social media at Of Lineage. That's OF Lineage, Twitter and Instagram. Creator of Bitter Dose TV. Yeah, this has been a rough one. So I don't know. I think we all need to kind of process all of this. But let's go ahead and get into the show.
All right. So being that Reset Race, we're not really normally about feelings and emotions and the hearts and minds shit. I figured we should start there because we never do that shit. So how are we feeling? Like one of the things is, I don't talk about my personal life a lot, but my auntie went back into the hospital. So when all of this was going on, I had fled my auntie's house to a vacation rental. So I was in a space where I could unplug. So I had time before I fully had to submerge myself into what was going on. And as soon as I did, it was just sadness, right? It hasn't been 10 years since Dylan Roof shot up, more elders in a church. And then here we are. And then I just even think about, I was having a conversation with my grandmother, who I can never get her to talk to me about anything. But she was mad about some family business going on with some land in the South somewhere. And she just kind of was like, and that just reminds me of that time that white man came and they were trying to kill your granddaddy. And I was like, huh? What? You've never told me that story. And the thing is, that's not the only story. That's the one story I heard about him. But I have a family member who was killed by a racist over some land stuff. Most Black Americans have some type of racial terrorist story somewhere in their bloodline. Even if it's not as extreme as somebody being murdered, where our parents, okay, perfect example. Sorry, I'm saying a lot. My aunt's husband, he remembers playing baseball against different white teams, and those teams trying to jump them and throwing rocks at them, and them literally having to fight after games and stuff. This is my favorite cousin. My little cousin's 31. This is his daddy. His daddy ain't his daddy might be 63 or 64. These aren't 100-year-old people. Like it, so that's my thing. Like me and my dad, I've been talking to my dad. My dad is in his 60s, right? My dad's like, this is the same shit that was going on when I was a kid. Because I don't really talk about this because I hadn't really been talking to my dad. But now that my mom passed, me and my dad have kind of reconnected. So my dad's wife is white. And she's a social justice warrior white. And I love her to death, but she's one of those annoying white ladies who'd be like, you're racist, your kids are racist. You need to teach your kids to stop being fucking racists. She's one of those white ladies. But she'll talk to my dad because my stepmom is young too. My stepmom she'll be 50, like she's going on 50. My dad's like in his mid-60s, much younger, right? So she just will be like, she'll be to my dad, like, I don't understand how you have so much patience. My dad be like, they were blowing up kids in churches when I was a kid. He was like, this has all been happening my entire life. He's like, I've been watching different variations of this happen my entire life. This is my father. He was born during Jim Crow. So I think I just had a lot of feelings. I still do. It's like I said, it hurts me. It hurts me to just see that like we keep going through this. And, this isn't necessarily about us wanting to talk about a response of how to deal with it. But I guess it's just a moment of taking a moment to acknowledge the emotions and saying that it's okay that this shit fucks us up and that it hurts us. Because like, this could have been your grandma. This could have been I have family in New York. I don't have family in Buffalo, but I got family in upstate New York. They go to the grocery store. What if it would have been somewhere where they were? Like, this could have been any of us. A lot of us got family members everywhere. This could have been any Black city, USA. Like, all right, I know that was a long intro. I know that was a long little piece, but I want other people to talk about it, about how they're feeling. But I just had to get that out there because it's a lot. Like, this is a lot. It's a lot for this to happen to our community.
I mean, I don't know. I'm just gonna say, like, I've been tired of these white motherfuckers. So for most of the time, like, I'm just kind of wrapped out. And like the lack of compassion that our group has always been shown in this country is just like when these things come about, it's highlighted. And then how everybody process it, even like the direct victims, it's like they have like they can be angry, but I'm looking at quotes, they should be very angry, and it's like they're still tempered, and like it's like I just want my people to know, like, the tone policing, the respectability, like that's too much. But I did see that elder, it was a man, and he said that everything that we've done in this country, and this is not fair or whatever. He was a little, but it's like I'm tired of like always tempering our reactions when these things happen. And I know my people have more up in them, and they need to say it, because if they don't, and if you're not real in these situations, you're not going to motivate the masses of your people to be able to do the same thing. So that's kind of what I have to say about that.
For me, it's been like the lack of a real response from anybody outside of Black people. Like, it seems the media is trying to push this one down the memory hole as quick as possible. Biden popped up and he popped right back in his basement. Like,
they're trying to push this faster than that Vegas shooting, right? When they killed all those people at that country festival and we stopped talking about it. This is pretty fast, ain't it?
Right. Like, and like I was a kid when 9/11 happened. And like I was like very much in my formative years. So I know the official American view on terrorism. So when I see these instances happening to Black people, it's like, where was all the George Bush energy? Where was all the we ain't made of sugar candy, this and that? Because I know if O'Connor was actually if his name was Muhammad or something, and he wasn't targeting Black people, the response would be very, very different. They would shut this entire country down looking for that person. He never would have made it to jail. They would have went to war. And I'm not like advocating for a war. I'm just saying, like, where's the response at? Because this ain't the same America that like made me join the army. Or maybe it is.
I don't know. I went through a bunch of emotions when this all was going down. As the information first started coming in, you don't really you don't have a lot of information to work with. So what I was doing was kind of like on social media, trying to find articles, just trying to hear what people have heard, what they have seen, so you can get more information. And what I found is that everybody was trying to like score political points before we even had any real details about what was going on. And that was really annoying. And I kind of knew what it was, because when you hear about, someone going on a mass shooting, and you hear about it being in a city like Buffalo, like, that's a Black city, what potentially it is. But I just wanted to get the information. I just wanted to have confirmation so that I can actually, and honestly, I wanted to know the motivations. I wanted to know why this keeps happening, or like have the moment to like sit there with all the information and try to piece together in my own mind why I think this is happening. But I realized, not only am I kind of like desensitized to this, where I'm kind of cold to it, and I'm not like emotionally like I'm not an emotional wreck right now, or I wasn't an emotional wreck when I first heard the information versus like how I experienced in other moments. I realized that everybody is kind of desensitized to this, and they're not really being honest about what's happening. They don't really care. It's about pushing their political agenda. And I'm not saying that, there's not a place to talk about the politics of all this, but when it's just happening, it I don't know, it just feels like everybody is chasing clout, and that kind of makes me lose hope, because that's what we need. That's what we're looking to fight the white supremacists. We're looking for our people that are like into politics, are people that are on the ground, that are activists, the people that are supposed to be serious about this, and they don't care anymore. It was just crazy. And then, like, I know we're gonna get into like how the media responded, but it, like, everybody's playing the game, and no one really wants to be serious about what is happening. And it's just frustrating. That's how I felt. That's how I felt originally, and I feel the same way now. But it's just, at first I was feeling hopeless. Now I feel like, I gotta get over myself and still gotta, continue to fight.
Hey, Mud, I feel the same way. I think we all feel hopeless. Like, I feel like that's the reason why that it's hard to when you talk to our people, that's really, you feel me, in real life, fuck the internet shit, in real life, like shit that we going through. They don't want to hear that shit unless you come from where they come from, or they, you feel me, like it's still because we're American, so it's hard to kind of put that into even with the killing too, because it's like I got killed the other day, but I feel like that's the hardest. Well, the fight we going through right now, where it comes to white supremacy, all these things like establishing our own ethnic identity, it's the first once we understand who we are as an ethnic group, like as a collective, then I think that we can move forward. I think that's the hardest thing right there. But the fact that this white guy went over there and he was talking about all this racist shit. He's talking about how he hates immigrants, how he hates Jewish people, but he still went to a neighborhood that was historically redlined. He went to go kill some kids, like, you know what I'm saying? Like real shit. Like, you feel me? Like just like how after Reconstruction our ancestors had to deal with, they went to go kill some kids and all that. Like it's a through line for that. And you're trying to figure out how the fuck do you maneuver through that. It's very difficult, man. Yeah, I don't have the answers just like you, but I just feel like, what we're doing and just staying on point with our message and just making sure that, like, anytime we get in contact with our people, we just letting them know what's going on and stuff like that. I think that we're still helping at the same time. We're still helping, but I mean, like, there's no way you can stop that. I mean, like, but it's still, I feel like let's just still let people know that it's real. You know what I mean? Be on alert. The Second Amendment is in the Constitution. If you're in the United States citizen, that means that all the rights of the Constitution belong to you as well. So things like that. But to combat that, be defensive. But I understand exactly where you're coming from. But that doesn't mean we can't stop. It's difficult, but fuck it, we can't stop. I think you on the right track to make our people better, and as a consequence, make our people better in the country. So.
All right. Well, I want to welcome Kelly Pryor to the group. So Kelly, you're actually right on time. So basically you were just kind of talking about like our initial thoughts and feelings about the Buffalo shooting, like how are you feeling knowing, that our elders were gunned down at the grocery store, minding their business, trying to get some groceries. Like, we're starting off there. So like I said, you're right on time. So just how are you feeling with all of that's happened?
I don't want to say I'm numb. I'm never numb to any of the atrocities that happen to our people anywhere here in the United States. And, with respect to mass shooters, I just feel like this is oh my goodness. I mean, it is basically the quintessential constant shoving of our shoulders. It's like a bully pushing a little kid on his shoulder, like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? And we still have not returned we have not retaliated correctly. That's just my opinion. But overall, with it initially happening, I was immediately angry. I immediately wanted something done immediately. I just wanted some retaliation. That's where I was initially when I heard what was happening. It wasn't, could this be true? It was just a matter of time because it was brewing. I just felt it was brewing. The other shoe was going to drop. What's that shoe? What is that other shoe that's going to drop? What is it going to look like? And then bam, here we are with Buffalo. And I'll leave it at that for now.
All right. So I guess let's move into the media response. Joey, go ahead and talk about that, because I know you had a lot that you were feeling, and I want you to kind of kick it off and we'll move around from there. And after Joey, just jump in if you feel like you have something to say.
Yeah, for me, it was like the complete and utter lack of empathy. Like every time I see somebody talk about this story, it's always like how Mud was saying, it's always with their political angle. Like they've completely removed the Black people who died from the story to talk about gun control.
Senator Booker, it's really good to talk with you. Yesterday, President Biden referenced white supremacy as poison. We've now seen 200 mass shootings in this year alone. Did he go far enough?
Look, the question is what are we all going to do? The president has limited powers in our democracy. What is outrageous to me is these mass shootings are happening with chilling regularity and nothing has changes. We have a nation now where it's easier for a teenager filled with hate to get their hands on a gun than it is for them to get a driver's license. This is an absurd reality. No other nation in the world has this level of gun violence, this level of carnage. And we need to start making more of a demand as a nation to put in common sense laws that are going to protect families, churches, synagogues, grocery stores. Where these shootings are happening, it's a threat to all of us, and it should demand for all of us to be involved in making a change.
Well, this gunman, Senator, as you know, had a 180-page manifesto, referenced shootings in New Jersey, attacks on Hasidic Jews. This particular target, of course, was the Black community. Do you now see this as a time to get action from Congress?
You know, again, I'm frustrated. We have Republicans in the Senate that are going to block even the most common sense gun reforms, which means that as we're months away now from a midterm election, these are the kind of things that should be driving people to the polls to elect people, regardless of party, that are willing to protect families, protect communities, protect police officers, because we're seeing these kind of violent actions happen. Look, hate is awful. We've been living with hate for as long as there's been humanity. There's hate in other countries. There's hate groups in other countries. But we are a nation that allows hateful people to so easily get their hands on weapons of war. That's what makes us uniquely vulnerable. That's what's making these mass killings from synagogues to churches to grocery stores happen in a way. So I'm so frustrated. We've seen this now starting to happen to the point where it's becoming routine. We've normalized this kind of carnage. I'm about 50 years old. In my lifetime, there have been more people in America killed by gunfire than in every one of our wars from our founding till now combined. That is stunning. That is outrageous. And it demands that we all engage ourselves, not just going on as if life's normal, but in doing what we can to stop it.
Well, the president said as much yesterday, Senator. He said tragedy will come again. I mean, have we, as a nation, as a Congress, become somewhat numb to this? What is it going to take? We are in a state with some of the toughest in the nation gun laws. Will more reform change what we're seeing?
Again, what it's going to take. New Jersey has 2 senators that will have proposed legislation to stop this. The problem is we have a very strong gun lobby that has not only blocked change from happening, they've even warped laws to make themselves exempt. The one industry that exempts from consumer product safety regulations.
Like, at no point did we stop and say our country just had a terrorist attack and they targeted our people, our Black people. Like they targeted Black Americans specifically.
The FBI is also looking at a manifesto allegedly written by the suspect. The 180-page document says the massacre was intended to terrorize all non-white and non-Christian people.
And like the country just like everything just went on like that was just okay. And like I compare it to like things that happen in other communities, things that happen in other countries. And it's like, I know you don't treat Ukrainians this way. Ukrainians aren't Americans. Ukrainians aren't even in NATO. Like, how exactly do the Ukrainians get treated better than us? Because ain't nobody sent me $40 billion. Ain't nobody sent me a grenade launcher to deal with this domestic terrorist threat. But somehow, some country that ain't doing nothing for me can get all these extra resources, even though Biden told me he had my back.
I agree. I think that every time from Dylan Roof and any time further back than that, our pain has always been used as a backdrop to propel other issues politically or other ethnic groups. Because they're trying to me, in addition to pushing their political issues as far as gun violence and whatever else that they're trying to do, they're all lives mattering our atrocity. When Dylan Ruth went in there and shot up our people while they were praying, they treated it that it was this big thing about trying to get rid of all the Confederate statues and the Confederate flags. I'm like, that's not what this is about. I mean, yeah, it contributes greatly, don't get me wrong, but let's speak to the people, what happened, what kind of substantive policy is going to be put in line that, for lack of a better term, that avenges what happened to our people.
Yeah, to me, like the media, all of that encompasses white supremacy for me. So I'm not surprised by their reaction. Like, this is really a propaganda machine. And you have everybody so loud, just drowning out the real. And to me, like, this encompasses our whole, our like liberation struggle anyway. Like, it's like, how are we going to be able to penetrate that? Because it's just so pervasive, it's so loud, so thick, and it's so many people like grasping at straws, like, Benjamin Crump. We go through the list of like all these people, but they're still here, and then they're still the loudest. You can't even shame them. Like Benjamin Crump's talking about an anti-Black American hate bill, and it's like, why are you saying anything about that? You're a ambulance chasing lawyer, sir. Like, I don't want to hear, and that's what I mean about, we have to be serious about the roles that people are playing. And I mean, to me, like, I already know ultimately what has to be done. We all know. And I'm just going to leave it at that. Like, we're avoiding the inevitable, but there are stages and levels. And I just feel like, again, that starts with like being angry about it, being righteously angry about it, and not being hindered to like express that, at least. Because when these people, when their family members get on TV, like, I don't want to see this display of like our pain in that way. And that's something that I think within our community, we have to like start checking too. Like, there's a time for grief, but when these people stick their cameras in your face, you should be saying something to us, right? And because that's what Emmett Till's mother did. And then we have to get like that.
I think the issue too is that people are still, angry but afraid. And I say afraid because you think about, like, I'm thinking about, okay, yeah, I want to do something. I want something done. But do I risk my livelihood? Who's going to bail me out of jail? Who's my lawyer? What do I do? We don't have these things in line. I guess some people do, but as a network, there isn't. So I'm not discussing strategy on here, but I am saying that I think that is, speaking for myself, are some of the things that hold a lot of people back, too many of our people back. Because there are people that want to just, bring that smoke and give whoever needs to get that work. And it's real good. We can all be rah-rah and cheer behind them. But then when the rubber meets the road and they need some legal help, or they need something else, or they need family taken care of, and everybody's like, oh, well, that's unfortunate. And I don't need an unfortunate. I need some damn help on the other side of this, not just revving the ones that are about that life to go out there and do something.
Yeah, I definitely agree. As far as how I saw the whole media thing, yeah, like I said before, everyone is pushing their political agenda, trying to make this about some type of gun control, trying to make this about xenophobia, and it's funny because, I mean, we all know the elephant in the room. We need to have the American government fight white supremacy the same way that it fought terror, the same way that it fights drug cases, the same way that when it really wants to destroy a community, like it did with our communities, it can gear up. And we need them to go after the white supremacists with that same type of energy. But this country doesn't want to do that. And that leaves Black Americans in a weird spot because, look, there's a lot of radical people in our community, and I'm not saying we do, like I'm endorsing anything like that, but at some point, there is going to be, backlash, and it just is what it is. Like, and I don't think citizens should have to, like, go through that extent to have the same type of freedom in this country. I don't think we should have to be the ones demanding law and order through vigilante action. We should not be placed in that position. So yeah, like, we know what the government needs to do, and it's everyone's trying to play a game of distraction. We got everyone trying to point at Tucker Carlson when we know there's the 4chan forum.
Words matter, and there have been calls to stop the amplification of the Great Replacement theory, including a plea to Fox News and one of its hosts, Tucker Carlson. In a letter to Fox, U.S. Senator Chuck Schumer writes, this pernicious theory, which has no basis in fact, has been injected into the mainstream thanks in large part to a dangerous level of amplification by your network and its anchors. Citing a New York Times investigation, Schumer specifically calls out Tucker Carlson, saying the host amplified this dangerous and unfounded theory in more than 400 episodes of his show. The Murdoch family, which owns Fox News, has staunchly backed Carlson, who hosts the highest-rated program in cable news.
There's the 4chan forum that everyone knows and pretends is like some kind of secret that we can't talk about. Why hasn't there been like some major operation on that forum?
I was going to say too to that, Mud. I was thinking about that too, and I was, thinking that to myself when I was reading some of the articles about that with 4chan, 8chan, and all the other whatever Stormfront-like channels. But the problem I think is that, just for me, from my assessment, is when the FBI puts out a report in 2006 saying that white extremist groups or white extremist people have infiltrated every facet of law enforcement, which I don't know why that came out in 2006, because given the inception of this country and the inception of what the police were born out of, which was the Klan, I'm trying to figure out when the hell they were ever out of there in the first place. So when we talk about the government should do something, I don't really think that they're going to do anything, which is going to be up to the citizens, unfortunately, because then they'd have to arrest their cousins and their uncles and their whatever it is. It's their family members. It's people that they're connected to, not necessarily by blood, but they're in these groups. They're connected in some kind of way, which is why they keep on saying, in my opinion, which I know is fact, but I need to get all the data, but they keep determining or classifying each one of these incidences or the shooters as lone wolves. And we know damn well that they're not lone wolves. That means we are not going to do any more investigation, because it's probably going to go all the way to the top, to the same people that we're saying, the government, that needs to do something about it. That's why they're not doing anything about it, because they are them. That's just me. I'm saying that for myself, not speaking for anybody else on this platform, but I feel like they're all connected. Not saying all of them, but too many of them. So if there are any good ones out there, you aren't overpowering the bad ones, period.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's why we have not seen any action, because if that were the case, the FBI would have to eat itself to get some of the motherfuckers out of there. And then police stations all across the country would have to do the same thing to get the white supremacists out of their ranks. And then they would have to wage a war where, they're going to be dealing with a lot of their family members, politicians, and all types of shit is going to get exposed if they really do it. And that's why they don't want to do it. But I mean, this shit is, and this is why I shouldn't say we, but I think it's a common feeling that most Black Americans have. It's just frustration with this whole situation, because you're pushing, you put our back against a wall, and now what options are you giving us?
Many of the victims were parents, grandparents, sisters, and brothers. Ruth Whitfield, the oldest victim at 86, was on her way from visiting her husband in a nursing home and stopped by the supermarket.
We're not just hurting, we're angry, we're mad.
Her family breaking down in tears at a news conference.
Took away my mother and my best friend. How dare you?
But that was his point, though. In the manifesto, he was talking about how he wanted to provoke a reaction so that white people would have the excuse to get their race war on. And essentially, like, when you do things like that, like, and there's no response from the government, what else can we do? Do we just like roll over and take it? Of course not. We're Americans. But like when we do respond, and like we've seen how the government and how the country responds when we act out or when we're perceived to have acted out. Like that whole like Stop Asian Hate thing, like they never really talked about how white people were slaughtering them in massage parlors, but they talked about how black people were punching them in New York for some reason.
In some of America's largest cities, hate crimes have surged. A reminder that there is still a lot of work ahead. Dion Lim from our ABC station in San Francisco, KGO, brings us this in-depth report.
Right.
Black foreigner.
Right. That part. And there's always, every one of them that have done this, even back during the George Floyd uprising, they have, you know, what's called, if you guys know the term, accelerationists. And they do this on purpose, trying to invoke a race war, which we're already in. Because basically we are descendants of hostages. And so punching down on us or shooting at us and picking us off one at a time is basically easy pickings, you know, just shooting fish in a barrel. So I'm like, they leave us no recourse. That's just my opinion. We can put ourselves in a position where if there is one, because you know there's one born every minute, or there's some copycats that are still laying in wait, which I suspect, you know, everybody be on alert. But with that being said, there needs to be some type of return, something that lets them, that puts a fear in enough of them that they think twice about even going after what they think is a soft target, because there might be the one that is about that life in the group. And I think that needs to happen more often.
We see that, like we saw that that guy in California that was the former cop, and then they like found him in the woods, and then they burnt him up. Who was that guy?
Yeah, Dorner.
Guys down!
Audio on the ground from a CBS 2 KCAL reporter mentioned a smoke grenade, and then in the chaos, someone, we don't know who, was heard yelling. Real-time police audio transmissions at Big Bear Lake were preserved, and the second guessing started immediately. Though we don't know how the fire started, to the untrained ear, after authorities concluded they had someone in this cabin in the woods, it sounded to some like they could have intentionally set fire to it to try to smoke out the suspect.
We're going to go forward with the plan with the burner. Copy.
About 23 minutes later, an early reference to burners being deployed.
Control 61 Lincoln, 7 burners deployed and we have a fire.
Copy, 7 burners deployed and we have a fire.
A former U.S. Marshal and expert on fugitive apprehension told me that based on the audio, he does not believe the authorities on the scene tried to burn down the house.
At that point, it could be just bravado, but again, there's no operating plan that calls for torching the home in order to get a suspect out.
Yeah, Christopher Dorner. And then we saw it with that Dallas shooter, right? Forgot his name.
Micah.
Right, exactly. So we see it, right?
Yeah, Micah Johnson, yeah.
With the January 6th thing, what we saw was a system breaking, like the system broke down. And who were the ones who saved the day? It was Black Americans, you know, where they were easily targets. Like, and you see how white supremacy will sacrifice like who we think are the top of white supremacy when they fuck around with the masses of white supremacy. So all of them the Republicans and Democrats were vulnerable in that moment. And we were talking about CIA and FBI, they all just turned their backs, and that I don't understand why that's not heightened more, because we saw that in real time, how the system will break down, and the ultimate goal is always to uphold white supremacy.
Tomorrow marks 1 year since the January 6th attack on our nation's capital, and a year later, the FBI is still looking for hundreds of suspects, asking for the public's help in finding some of the most wanted. That includes the person responsible for planting potentially lethal explosive devices in D.C. that day.
White people just didn't get their way. Like, that's it. They just didn't get their way, and they snapped out. And that's what I mean about the white supremacist side. I mean, you're over there, and that's that John Brown factor. And when you over there doing little shady shit, you a nigger lover, you want to press these issues, they got something for them too. And that's what you saw. Like, I mean, that's just the way I look at it. Like, they didn't win and they snapped out, and we saw it at a heightened level, but the system will always protect that.